All right, good afternoon, traders. Today is February 10th, 2026. My name is Coach Kerrigan. Take a look at the market, see how I made $600 today. I started a new 30K account with the open house on Monday. On Monday, we made 500, and today we made 600. Now, my goal is 1% each day. So my goal yesterday was $300. I made 531. My goal today is 305. I captured close to $600 on today's goal. So both days managed to capture the goal. I keep track, keep a running tally of it. And of course, these need to be adjusted, like that one. 393 there, minus 38. That one, 264, that's right, minus 70. 69, that needs to come off. That stays on. Then I got 10 on that and minus 38. Well, I already got the minus 38. So about 628 for the day. Grand total for the 2 days straight is 31,000 now and 51 cents. So I will have $3,100 to trade tomorrow, and my goal will be 310 to make tomorrow. So always 10%. All right, is my looking for that plaque that I like to use, and that's this one right here. So here's my trading account. Started out this morning 30,531, and then the max risk is 10%, so that's 3050. Okay, 3,050. My daily goal 305. All right, so now I'm up to 3,100. So this will be 3,100 tomorrow, and my daily goal will be 310. That's for February 11th, coming tomorrow. All right, let's start out and take a look at what we had this morning and see what we traded and why. All right, so we had price moving off the bottom of the channel, and I bought calls, okay, right at the open to trade up to the top of the channel and probably right up there to the all-time highs and to challenge the all-time highs. So I bought the 698 calls, and you can see where I bought them right here. The blue dots represent the buys. Okay, so I managed to buy the dip right here and sell into strength. Okay, that's how I captured $400 or more earlier than that. And then I bought the lows of the candles, selling into strength, and then selling into strength, and finally had to close them out at a loss. I really thought there was a chance that price could probably get right back up there to the all-time highs and even challenge the 698 area, even the 700. I was expecting that today. They may do that in the overnight session. We'll see what happens. Looking like they wanted to break down. I expect the bulls to come in and rescue the price action just like they did here and here. And now I think they'll do it again here. So we'll see what happens. As you can see from the morning, all right, we put the quad lines on there. That's not the one I want. That's not, yeah, okay, quad lines. Okay, you can see in the morning, we're still consolidating up here at the quadrant 4. This is quadrant 4 up here at the top. Okay, this would be quadrant 1, 2, 3. So they're still consolidating up here in the bullish quadrant 4 area. All right, so I'm still bullish, even though they didn't quite have the nature right through here, and they decided to break down instead of flip back up. It looked like they were holding the bottom side of the channel for a while. Didn't quite work out. So they got trapped underneath. If we look at this, this is our daily downtrend line, which originates right here, okay, at the all-time high. So let's push that in right there. We can fatten it up so you can see what is causing price to fall back. And you can see here we're connecting the top here and connecting the top here. And we ran into this top yesterday, and we're running into it again today. All right, but we're not giving up. That's what it appears to me so far. Is we're still consolidating up here at these highs. Instead of running all the way back down here to check the midpoint or even check the lows to see if they're going to hold. Okay, still consolidating up here. That's bullish for me, even though we're just not able to make it up over the top here. They're probably just not ready yet. Okay, so here's our morning. This was the overnight session. That was our low side of our channel. All right, and you can see we never really closed candles below the low side of our channel. So for that matter, I was bullish. So we'll see what happens if the bulls rally price all the way back up there. We'll see what happens with that. So there's SPY. I had some puts left over on my puts. I had, here's a put. Okay, so I had some puts that were underwater. And when price went up this morning, went down right here in the dip, I sold off one of my puts. All right, and I didn't feel like reloading it, so instead I put on a spread. All right, and I sold. I sold 2 puts against my 2 long puts, and I was able to capture $69 in gains for that. So I managed to capture $40 here and capture probably like $29 there. All right, so as price came down. And I just sold the 0 DTE puts. And I'll do it again tomorrow if price continues to move in the upward direction. I will sell puts against the puts that are underwater in order to recapture the losses that I incurred on open house day and today. All right, so then I also bought the 694 calls right at the end, expecting price to bounce back up to VWAP. It did not. I only managed to ink out $10 on those. Did the 698s. Here's the 700s. I bought the lows. Price was in an uptrend right through here. And then I sold the peaks up there when price rallied up. I just managed to sell those highs. Managed to capture $264 on those. And after that, I had to get rid of them. They just couldn't get their act together and break out of the top side of the channel. They're just still held down by this downtrend line right here. Now, I did buy WMB. I bought some calls on that. And let me explain that one. Okay, so I got 5 calls on WMB. And this is what I see. I see a possible birthday trade where price action, all right, goes up. All right, I'm going to lay out a base first. Okay, so I'm going to lay out the base. So this is the base right through here. See the tops of those wicks right there. So there's our base. And price goes up and comes back down. So I'm looking for price to go back up only twice as high. All right. So because of that, I bought the 72 strike calls. So I'm looking for price to go all the way back up to 75. All right. So I bought these 72 strike calls and I picked them up for a dime each. So that was 10 cents per share. And I'm looking for price to come up to here. Now, if price does get up to $75 and I purchase these for 10 cents each, they'll be 72 strike. So I will receive probably close to a 2,000% gain if my pattern works out, all right? My strategy, which is the birthday trade. Price goes up, comes back down, and then bounces up twice as high. So I'll wind up with probably a $2,000, a 2,000% gain on those calls. We'll see what happens. Tomorrow will tell. All right. Tomorrow we've got the employment situation. It's a delayed report. We'll see what happens. I don't think the employment situation is going to be bad. I haven't seen any news of anybody shutting down. Things still seem to be rolling along here pretty nicely. I know that there will be some holiday layoffs, so it could get ugly and it could look good. We'll see what happens. All right, market's still running. All right, so let's take a look back at the market, and we'll take a look at the 10-minute chart on SPY. And I think we got ourselves a 10-minute downtrend here. So let's zoom in on that. All right, so here is the 10-minute chart. You can see the 3 is underneath the 8, still. So 3-minute downtrend into the, 10-minute downtrend into the close on the 2-hour chart. I'm just going to call that, there's a 2-hour cross right into the close right there. I'm going to move this out of the way. So you got a 2-hour cross, bearish cross, coming into the close on the 2-hour chart. On the daily chart, yes, we put in a higher low and a higher high. We closed over a bullish trap. We closed over the 17 EMA. And if we put the quad lines on, you can see we closed at the top of quadrant 4. Okay, we're still not in an uptrend because we haven't made a higher high. Still in the downtrend. The good news is we're not moving down. We're up over the all-time high anchored VWAP. So we're at the very top of quadrant 4 today. All right, here's our April low, top of quadrant 4. So we're still bullish. All right, but technically, we're in a downtrend. Are we moving down? No, we're moving up. All right, so technically we're in a downtrend that's having a pullback. So there's SPY on the daily chart. Weekly chart hasn't changed, still bullish and in an uptrend. Monthly chart, still bullish and in an uptrend. So we'll see what happens tomorrow with the employment situation. I'm going to take this out of the way and this out of the way because we don't need it. All right, let's go take a look at QQQ. And on QQQ 10-minute, we have a 10-minute downtrend coming into the close. On the 2-hour chart, we have a 2-hour bearish cross on the 2-hour chart. On the 2-hour chart for QQQ, we're caught underneath the all-time high anchored VWAP. On the daily candle, we got ourselves I'll bet it's a higher high, 616.46, 617.02. Higher low, higher high, closing in the bearish trap under the flat 17, under the all-time high anchored VWAP, in the middle of quadrant 4. So that's bullish still, but still see the low? They made a lower low, still in a downtrend. And that's on QQQ. Monthly chart and weekly chart still bullish in an uptrend. Nothing's broken there, and nothing's broken there. Let's take a look at Diamond Dow, because Diamond Dow made a new all-time high yesterday and Friday. Let's see what kind of candle they gave us today. And Diamond Dow prints another new all-time high today. Okay, let's take a look at IWM. IWM wound up faking me out today. Higher low, higher high. Closing over a bullish trap, over the flat 17, over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Still in an uptrend. All right, hasn't broken any lows. This is bullish. Clearly up at the top of here of quadrant 4. Here's our April low. All right, this is the rally that we're in. So we're bullish and in an uptrend on IWM. Diamond Dow, bullish and in an uptrend. SPY and QQQ, both bullish, but in downtrends that are not working out. Okay, so that favors the bulls when you got a downtrend that's just not working out. Let's go take a look at Stinker. Stinker today put in a higher low and a higher high, but closed inside a bearish trap under the falling 17, under the all-time high anchored VWAP, under the midpoint right here. You can see this would be the midpoint of the quad lines. Here's your all-time low. There's your all-time high. And we're under the midpoint. So we're on the bear side of the midpoint there for stinker. All right, so that's still neutral. All right, it's not in the lower third, not in the upper third. So it's still neutral. All right, and in a downtrend. That's for stinker. Let's take a look at silver. Okay, so silver puts in an inside day. That's a higher low and a lower high. Closing inside. Closing underneath a bearish trap. Closing underneath a falling 17. Closing in the neutral zone, no longer in the upper third. And made a low and a lower low and in a daily downtrend. That's for silver. Okay, neutral and in a downtrend. Let's take a look at gold. Gold today, I have to zoom way in because my eyes aren't that great. Got a low here, 460.85. A low here, 459.52. So that's a lower low. So we got a lower high and a lower low. We closed over a bullish trap. Okay, because you can see the 3 is on top of the 8. 3 is this yellow line. So closed over a bullish trap, over the rising set, over the flat 17. Okay, in the middle of quadrant 4, that's still bullish. Okay, they haven't made any lower lows. If they make a low under here, that will be a lower low. Haven't made it yet. So they're still bullish and in an uptrend on GLD. All right, let's take a look at UNG. Okay, UNG got a lower high and a lower low, closing under a bearish trap under the 17 EMA. UNG in a downtrend and back in quadrant 1, so bearish and in a downtrend. Notice UNG failed to hold the higher ground. They went up, they gave it up. Okay, they made a new all-time low, they went up. Yep, they gave it up again. All right, so UNG just struggling here. Let's take a look at USO. And on USO, we've got an inside day. It's a lower high and a higher low, closing over a bullish trap, closing over the rising 17. At the top of quadrant 4, like the hold. See, this is example of price holding the higher ground. All right, if we put the quad lines only on the move from the bottom to the top, here's the bottom up to the top. Up here, you can see clearly price structure holding in the upper third, except for that one candle right there. So that's bullish. All right, so this is bullish and in an uptrend right there on USO. For the technicals, let's see what the participation looked like today. And on T2101, market moved up slightly and participation increased. So that was a good bullish sign right there. Let's take a look at T2122. And you can see price action. We made our way out of the buy zone and made a brief appearance inside the overbought zone. So here we are at the top of the buy zone. The only thing I don't like is this little mini head and shoulders right there. Okay, so we made an equal high right there and a higher low again. Okay, so price action up there in the buy zone and making a brief appearance inside the overbought zone. All right, that's T2122. That's bullish. All right, still bullish. Take a look at T2123. And T2123 does a bullish gap up, not filled by the bears. Okay, that's a bullish environment. We're still bullish. Price action, new all-time high. T2123 15-minute chart. Rising up over the rising 200 SMA and making a new all-time high. That's bullish and in an uptrend on the 15-minute chart. On the 3-bar chart, obviously bullish and in an uptrend, making new all-time highs over the flat 200 SMA right there. Okay, so this is our April low. We make a new all-time high. We have a pullback. Price makes a higher low. Here's the all-time low, makes a higher low. And for the higher low, the bulls get inspired to make the higher high. So there's T2123 3-bar chart. Let's take a look at stinker on the 15. And what happened here? Somebody big come out and say something? That's a huge spike to the upside. Anyways, stinker on the 15. All right, so this would be today's price action. Okay, so we have a low. That's a higher low right here. All right, and we have a high right here. So we had made a higher high, but we made a higher low and we made a higher high. But we wind up closing out the day making a lower low. So bearish, neutral, bearish and in a downtrend. Why is it bearish and in a downtrend? Okay, so if we stick the quad lines on this, on the price action that we have, all right, we're going to just stick the quad lines on this all the way up there. You can see we're still in the lower third. All right, so that puts us bearish. All right, and you can see clearly on the 15-minute chart, we have a low, another higher low. We make a lower low than both of these lows. We're in a downtrend. So that's it for me today, traders. Everybody that visited, thank you so much for visiting with me. If you have some questions, I put my Teams link inside the chat. You're welcome to ask me any questions. I'd be happy to talk with you. I look forward to each and every one of you taking a 14-day trial. I do free coaching. You can see I make my daily goal every day. I do it live. I do it in front of you. I'm here to help. If there's any questions, I'm here to help. If you'd like to take a trial, I'm here to help, okay? That's it for me today, traders. Everybody have a beautiful afternoon. Thank you again to all my open house visitors. Everybody have a wonderful evening. Thank you.